If you are tired of scrolling and looking for job search tips only to find that a lot of them are not relevant for today's hiring market, here are 3 hacks that you can start doing today that will not only help you get hired faster, but they're actually relevant to what you're going through right now. Hi, my name is Beverly. I'm a COO who's been scaling operations for over a decade in multiple industries, and I'm also your Chief Empowerment Officer. And I'm one of the few leaders that actually understands and empathizes with what this feels like, because yours truly has been unemployed, doing everything I thought was right and still not getting a job. And one thing in my job search that you were probably also doing is I would go online and I would look at career experts and I would try to find tips and strategies that could maybe help me move the needle even an inch. I would get so frustrated when I would take those strategies, go home, apply them, revamp my resume a quadrillion times, do all the things that they said to do in the interview, and still not get a job. So then I would blame myself, get discouraged, and then after a while, I would start to feel like maybe I would never get a job again. Even though I knew probably wasn't the case, it's really hard to feel that way when you've been unemployed for a while. So today's hacks are not only immediate tactics that you can start doing today, but they're actually relevant for today's hiring market, including how to navigate these crazy applicant tracking systems. So let's get to work. First hack is knowing how to read the signal. The moment you learn how to read the signals in this market, especially as it relates to your specific resume, is the moment everything is going to change for you. There are so many folks right now in the market, and maybe this has happened to you, where maybe you've been getting interviews. Maybe you've been getting all the way to the final round of interviews, but because you are not getting the job at the end of the day, you're not seeing that offer come across your email, you assume that there is something wrong with your resume or something that's wrong with your LinkedIn or both. So then what do? You start changing your resume a ton of different times, revamping it a bunch, even though that was the resume that got you the interview in the first place. So this first hack is teaching you how to read a signal. In this market, because of the rampant use of applicant tracking systems, if you are getting any interviews or even at minimum, a recruiter is reaching out to you in relation to a role or opportunity, that means that something is freaking working, both algorithmically and also from a brand positioning standpoint. That means somewhere an applicant tracking tool said, wait a second, this person's highly relevant, which means the exact opposite thing you should be doing is changing anything on your resume. But here's how you're going to identify what's signal versus what's noise. What I want you to do is I want you to create a spreadsheet. In that spreadsheet, I want you to document all of your job applications. You might have already started to do this. Now, I want you to highlight the job opportunities that have gotten you recruiter outreach, job interviews, highlight all of them, and then put them in a separate tab. In that tab, look at the trends. What are the job titles and industries or types of roles that have consistently gotten you interviews? But most importantly, take a look at the resume you use, because something about that resume in combination with the jobs that you applied to worked. Then you're going to make a third tab. And in that third tab, I want you to start tracking and doubling down on all of the jobs that you're going to start applying to based on the signals you're finding. So for example, if you notice that with your marketing manager resume, you have actually gotten recruiter outreach, you've gotten interviews, you are now going to double down on marketing manager. Don't apply to copyright editor, don't apply to brand manager, apply to marketing manager roles. And even more specifically, look at the industry that those recruiters and that those interviews were in, because if there are multiple industries or the same type, if you see the patterns, you get what I'm saying, you're going to double down on that too. You're going to repeat this for every other signal that you have seen across the market, even fringe opportunities you've seen, because the reality is, even if the role is not necessarily something you want to do long term, this exact strategy is exactly what took one of my clients who was laid off by T-Mobile in April of 2026 and was already in a job and had 2 offers on the table that she rejected a month later. Double down and double down hard. And if you start getting a lot of interviews in a particular place and continue to focus your energy in that direction, because the signal is louder, which means you are getting closer to an opportunity, not further away. No matter what, do not touch the resume that was working. I know it feels like it's counterintuitive, because if I didn't get the job, then I obviously need to change something, but that actually may have nothing to do with the actual resume itself. And again, because of the AI usage and a lot of these systems, you want to ensure that if there is something that's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The second strategy I want you to think about is getting somebody else to search for you. Most people think that headhunting agencies and recruiting agencies are for executives or senior level folks and somebody else. They are not. There are recruiting agencies around the world that their whole job is to advocate for their clients and their employment partners who are looking for people who have your exact skill set, and then they can source candidates that are in their ecosystem because they submitted outreach. By having somebody else search for you, whose whole job it is to recruit for their clients, you're now implementing a two-pronged strategy because not only are you applying, you now have confidence that somebody else is looking out for opportunities on your behalf as well. And here is how you can start looking for headhunting agencies that are actually relevant to you. You can Google search recruitment firms specifically sourced for your type of job description. And then what I want you to do is take maybe the top 5 to 10 firms and then look at their processes for how you can apply or submit an inquiry, submit your information to see if they'll bring you on so that they can start sourcing for you. And here is the thing, they don't charge a fee. So if you see somebody charging a fee to recruit for you, avoid that. They get incentivized by companies to source and then get paid by companies. So you don't have to pay anything upfront to start having somebody help you source for opportunities. If you're struggling with the Google search, you can also use an AI tool to fold your resume into the AI tool and ask it to source you headhunting groups based off of your experience. And if you're like, Beverly, I actually want to pivot to a different industry, I don't want to keep working in the industry I'm in, then you would fold in maybe 5 to 10 job descriptions that are in the roles that you want to be in into the AI tool. And then you would prompt it to help you find a headhunting group that has specifically sourced for roles like that. The job search can feel very isolating. And I know with my experience, it was very overwhelming applying to hundreds of jobs a day and consistently seeing rejection emails, which what felt like forever. So having somebody else send job opportunities your way is a empowering reminder that you are not alone. Now, the third hack is really a cheat code. Get your resume audited like an ATS. Now, here's what most people are doing. They're taking their resume and they're folding it into an AI tool. And then they're asking that AI tool to revamp their resume in a way that reflects maybe the job description they're applying to, or they'll add a bunch of keywords based off of the keywords they found on the job description. They get frustrated after doing that optimization and still not making it through. The problem is it's not enough to have an AI tool just revamp your resume for you. You want that AI tool to audit your resume as if it were an applicant tracking system. Prompting is everything. By prompting the AI tool to audit your resume like an ATS, you'll get insight on what specifically you have to change about your resume, and you will be able to tailor your resume the way that an AI would prefer to read it, as opposed to getting it made by an AI, but that may not be the way in which it should be audited, if that makes sense. So here's what you're going to do. Take your resume and you're going to fold it into an AI tool of your choosing. My recommendation, which is not sponsored, is Claude, because in my experience, it just has a way more robust tool for something like this. After you fold your resume in, you are also going to fold in 10 job descriptions similar to the jobs that you are applying to. So for example, if you are looking for project management roles in the health tech space, you want to find at least 10 more project manager roles in the health tech space. You can then copy the job descriptions, save them for later, because then you can apply with this new resume you're about to get, and then put all of them in one Word doc and save it as a docs file. You will then put that in as well with your resume, and you will use the prompt that's in the description to prompt it, audit your resume against job descriptions that you would actually be applying to. Now, big thing about this prompt, you are asking it to audit you against a 90 to 95% scoring. Now, you might see this and go, Beverly, don't I want my resume to be 100% applicable? Nope, you don't. There's already a lot of rumbling happening around the fact that AI usage is rampant. And a lot of disgruntled HR leaders and recruitment leaders have expressed in different forums online that they're starting to notice a pattern with resumes that are hyper perfect, even though the candidate experience may not be entirely relevant. What Beverly wants to say to that is, oh, how the turntables. But what Beverly, the empowerment creator and coach, will tell you is that the reason why you want it to be 90 to 95% is so that it reads like a real contextual resume that actually makes sense in alignment with the role, and it won't confuse the applicant tracking system, because a resume that reads as 100% perfect might accidentally get you scored lower unintentionally. Now, these are 3 hacks that are specifically for today's market. And each of these 3 hacks are designed to empower you so that you can start applying these things today and start seeing movement, especially as you start following the signals. There are so many folks that I have worked with and so many folks in my community who are genuinely blaming themselves as to why they're not getting a job right now. If I had a nickel for how many times I've heard somebody say it's never been this hard to get a job, I'd be a really wealthy lady. Now, if you're watching this and you're like, Beverly, I haven't gotten any interviews in a while, then make sure you subscribe to my page by clicking that subscription button and the bell so that you're notified when I share more tips on how to find opportunities, pivot, and other strategies that you can implement immediately in this market. Thank you so much for being here, and stay tuned for more hacks.